to another edition of Celebrating the Arts. I'm Rebecca Rosales Castillo, and I have the honor of speaking with Emmy Award winning costume designer Marina Toybina, who will share with us her extensive career as a costume designer and the creation of the national costume for Miss El Salvador, Isabela Garcia Manso, at the Miss Universe Pageant. Welcome, Marina. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Well, we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty because everybody wants to know about this costume that you did for Miss El Salvador. When you were designing it, what are the key elements and what is your signature?
Wow. When this first came to me as an opportunity, I was very excited because I've never worked with Miss Universe. I've never done anything like that, but I have enough experience to understand how to build something that can have an impact. And I think that was my approach to this project. I never really called it a costume. I think it was always bigger than that and kind of served more purpose as to what this was really going to represent. When I was sent a mood board from the team that I was working with in El Salvador as to what they would like to see on the stage, it was very much about the change that's occurring in the country, about the voice of the people, about bringing something to the table that wasn't, like I said, wasn't just a costume, but something a little bit more special and could resonate and kind of have that beautiful stage presence and also have a visual stimulation as to what the meaning of the design was. So I was sent a few references, the resources that are in the country, the natural kind of exploitations of what the country is about, and one of the things that really stuck out to me was referencing a volcano and kind of using that as a base. And in the beginning, that was kind of what the design was going to represent, as kind of this eruption and, kind of giving people hope in that sense. And when the artwork was created, I wanted to take it a step forward and do something more than just a representation of a volcano. It was, if this was going to be something that represented the nation and the people, what are we all collectively hoping for right now? And that's change, which is currently what's a big drive, a political drive in the country and for the people. It's hope, and nothing to me spoke better than it being represented as the sun. So there's few elements in the particular design that do have those kind of details being very vocal. And with the crown being the last element that lit up as the sun, that to me was the statement piece, to where since we're little kids, we're constantly being told, it's going to be okay tomorrow. Tomorrow's a new day. And that was kind of my direct message there as to what the signature piece was going to be about.
How beautiful is that? I have to tell you, never in my life have I seen such a dramatic way to showcase it that I honestly thought I was going to pass. It was that exciting. And yes, it's not a costume, it's actually a work of art, Marina. It really is. So talk to me about how that conversation went with Isabella. Did you guys you know, come together? How did she find you? How did this all come about?
A dear friend of mine that was the production designer for Miss Universe, who I've met with last year. We did a project together for Beauty and the Beast Live. He was the production designer and stage designer on that project. So he was the one that referred me to the team he was working closely with for Miss Universe and the presidential team of El Salvador.
The Beauty and the Beast team that she's referring to just won an Emmy at the Creative Emmy Awards, making it Marina's 8th Emmy win.
He asked me if I was interested to possibly, join in this conversation, and they were looking for a costume designer to represent the national costume. And with my background, knowing how to build these kind of giant statement pieces, I was very interested, and that's how the conversation started. So I was immediately connected with the team from El Salvador, and it was a very small conversation. It was, here's our mood board, our kind of creative influence that we would like to portray on the stage. And right away, I just was so interested in the project. And it was actually very personal to me as well. Um, my nanny, that's been like a big part of our family, is also from El Salvador. So when the opportunity came around, I was very honest that not only was I interested in the creative process, this was also very meaningful to me because of how much I love and how much love I have for somebody that's also a big part of my life and my family's life. So when those kind of things, synchronicity happened, and it was just a perfect moment. Um, and from there, we did the artwork. And usually it takes me a few takes to get it right. And this time around, it was kind of meant to be. We did our first draft. I corrected all the details with my illustrator, sent it over. And the message that I got is, let's wait to see what the president says. And then within, I think, a couple of hours, it was, well, we have no notes. So go ahead. How do we proceed? And from there, I always had a shop in mind that I closely work with, some of the best in LA, some of the best fabricators that then also took on the bid with me and were excited about the project. And then we started building. And it was very interesting because we were going back and forth trying to get Isabella's measurements, and kind of blindly starting the project. I did a little bit of research, like who she is, what she's all about. I saw that there is this element of purity and grace to her that I really wanted to salvage in the design. That's why there was not really a harsh take on the costume, which easily could have led to that place as we're building a volcano. I kept it very feminine, very elegant, and that was very important to me to salvage that grace of her and also not having it feel like she's fully wearing the costume, but something that could become more part of her. And from there, we had her come down here for a fitting, and I thought she's already seen the design. So that was really beautiful for me because I was actually the first one to show her the artwork. And the first time she came to LA is when we did our initial fitting, kind of got our measurements together, got to see her very excited, which made it even more meaningful for me because I saw somebody that right away respected the process and the work that we're about to put into this and also had no notes and just trusted the process, which in my field is very rare to be in the position where as a designer, you kind of have the full say on the creative process. And I felt like because this was done from the heart on my behalf and from my team's efforts, and at the same time, we were fully trusted with this process, I feel like it organically bloomed into something what we all got to experience on stage.
That was just absolutely magnificent. I'm almost bummed that you guys didn't get the National Costume Award because it really blew everybody away. And it's funny because we were sitting in the press room and collectively, as soon as it was over, everybody took to, wherever they were, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and that was the talk of the town. I felt bad for everybody else because I don't think we paid attention to anyone else afterwards. Like I said, it was a work of art and it was just the way that it was presented. It was also very dramatic and very, that's what the arts give you. Something that seriously, it was impactful. Everybody was talking about it. And it was just, I wish you would have been in the room because it was, and I wish I would have
We heard
recorded
it. We
it.
were backstage. We were with her till the very last second. And it was a blessing for me as well because everybody that was working the stage are all dear colleagues of mine.
Yeah.
So we had that love and support, coming from LA. And then at the same time, I'm always backstage. That's what I love. I can't let go. So it's
Yeah.
like a proud mom moment. But we heard, it almost felt like the theater was shaking. Like
Yes.
that
That's
moment,
how it felt in
we
the
just
press
got
room. It was like shaking. Yes.
the
Yes.
energy and the vibration and the love. And
Yes.
at the end of the day, like I said, I'm very much aware that it's a competition. But in that moment, I felt like that was the goal. We united the audience, we united all the misses. Everybody was just uplifted.
Yes.
And that, I could never ask for anything more than that.
Yeah. And the message of I think the overall message, I had not been back in El Salvador since 1988. I went to visit, I left in 81 and went to visit in 88, and I had not been back. And so I missed, I mean, I left in war, but to see it now, how safe it is and how the people, the essence of the people has not changed, but it just, to have that be that rebirth. I mean, it really is a rebirth of the nation because now we can walk the streets without feeling, that's why I stayed away for so long because I didn't feel like it was a safe place for me to visit. And so seeing that and being in the room while it's all coming together and seeing, I mean, it was just, it's a moment that will be forever in my mind and in my memory. So, and you were a part of that. So I just, it's wonderful to be able to tell you what an impact you had, for all of us as
It's
Salvadorans.
probably, the only thing that besides my team is when this costume came about and it was just for the competition, right? And then the world took a turn. I cannot tell you, I think I cried every day designing that costume. I'm a huge empath and a creative one at that. So to hear what you're even saying and also the stories that, you know, Thelma, my nanny, was telling me while we were designing this as to why she's no longer, there or what was going on, exactly what you're describing. And to see this rebirth, like, if there's one thing, I want the viewers to know is this was probably one of the only things in my life that was from the beginning to end done with just utmost love and hope, and tears are all over that costume, and that was the first thing when Isabella put it on. She was like, I feel your heart vibrating in this, and that's what it was. And I think that's why, we all love it so much, and not even because it's my own design, but it really was done from a place of just like vulnerability and just pure honest emotion pouring into that design. So it
Yeah,
means a lot. Thank you very much. Thank
you
you.
could feel it. You could feel it. You could see it, the significance of it, the heart, the soul, the backbone, the message, the rebirth. I mean, it was very impactful. So congratulations, because that was absolutely magnificent. Well done.
Very much, Rebecca. And I very much agree with you. I think for us artists, it's very hard to find outlets as well. I have my views, I have my beliefs, I have hopes as well as an artist. And this was kind of a perfect collaboration where I felt the same need that the audience or the viewers, the same hopes, that this wasn't just a design project for me. It was definitely my way of also contributing to the things and the changes I would like to see. I have little kids. I know what it's like to worry about what the future is like. And I think this design was just that. It was trying to relate to everybody and not just done in the form of a costume, but really have a story and a narrative and a message that people could just feel and love. It's hard because it's a competition. And I know there's elements to this that, have to be viewed from different perspectives. But overall, I think I felt very honored and accomplished that more so people could just see it for what it was, and not necessarily just judge it as a costume. So that was a beautiful take as well.
So incredible that you had that connection. I think that's what made it even more special, Marina.
Oh, it was 100% from my heart, and when every time I look at her and I see like how much love and joy she brings to my family and my kids, this was the right thing for me to get involved with. And also truly one of the most meaningful designs I've ever done, creative.
Are you going to go to El Salvador anytime soon?
I want to. I loved it there. I loved it.
Ah,
And that's my biggest thing is when I travel, I love the food and I love the people. And we were welcomed and just treated with utmost respect. And it was an experience I will never forget.
so talk to me a little bit about your career because you are so accomplished. You've won countless Emmys. You've worked with one of the top artists in the world, Katy Perry, just to name a few, Britney Spears, the Super Bowl, that whole Katy Perry Super Bowl performance, which was amazing. Where do you draw your inspiration? And did you always want to be a costume designer?
Wow. Fashion is where I started. I've always, when I was younger, I had this idea of I wanted to be a fashion designer. To be honest with you, I didn't even know the difference between two different professions. And I went to school for fashion design. That was my thing. And since I've always been inspired by something bigger than just clothing, very much influenced by the arts, by the culture, by the people, whether it's the Libra in me or, all those aspects truly mattered. And I felt like there came a point in fashion where I couldn't tell my story as much as I really wanted to, as much as I studied the arts, I've studied the best designers. My niche was draping and doing everything by hand and learning the couturier way of design. I really did hone in on the beautiful part of fashion and not just the ready, to wear runway was kind of my go-to. And from there, as much as I started kind of working with different stylists and choreographers and really self pushing my way into different outlets of design, um, it landed its own path into being a little bit drawn to stage more than just the runways or this statuesque take on the fashion. I saw that my designs could tell stories, could have movement. And from there, I started working a lot more with dancers and stage and performances, and then started almost re-educating myself on the whole process of design and using different techniques, different fabrics, learning how to tell all these beautiful stories through design. And that led me into TV shows, which then led me into full switch into costume design and learning a lot more into the fabricated world and not just the sewing. So I started just surrounding myself with the best of the best and learning from all of them and being able to do things like the Super Bowl, being able to do things like the Masked Singer. And every project I get nervous and scared, before I jump in. But I think because what was so important to me is who I was working with. Um, and not just in sense of who my clients were, the celebrities, it was who was my team. Who am I going to learn from? How am I going to, elevate my own knowledge and education and techniques and experiences. So from there, I felt like I was able to conquer the world because I started just learning all different parts of design and fashion and costumes and bringing them all together to do the things like I did for Miss Universe.
So somebody that's watching right now that, looks at you and says, I kind of dig that. I want to do the same thing. I want to learn how to make lava,
Right.
go through a dress. What would you say to them? What would be your best advice for them?
Two things. And I've been asked this question a lot, and I've always had different answers. But in the past couple of years, I realized two things. One, I always showed up for myself. And it was not just, in the beginning of your career, you're kind of in this weird dynamic of people pleasing and being the yes person, and you can do it all, and sacrifices. But at the end of the day, when I look back how young I started, I pretty much started designing when I was 15 years old, started sketching when I was 13. But I think I showed up for my dream. I showed up from my own determination. I as much as I fell down and had a very difficult career, a difficult rise to my career, that was the biggest thing is I didn't give up and I didn't know where my dream was headed. My goals were constantly changing, and that's okay. I think it's okay for a lot of people to accept that you're going to pivot. You're you're going to want to give up, and those things are actually okay because with every time you take the time to learn um, something about yourself, I think that's when you actually elevate as an artist because you're going to take in all of those experiences and be able to kind of explode on your own and give it back to the people that you're starting to collaborate with. So that was the big thing is I showed up for myself. And the second part is I became limitless. I feel like with every project, like I said, uh, I was scared and nervous to work with certain people or to be brought on certain projects. But somewhere deep inside, I knew things were possible. And because of that kind of resilience and determination and being able to push forward mentally, and believing that in my heart, I was able to attract the right people. I was able to learn, and then in some sort of form give back everything that I knew how to do. I was able to express it in my work. And I think those two things are very important, because I think the rest of it, whether it's technique, whether it's, being able to self-educate or having mentors, like all those things are important and you can definitely accomplish them. But I now, looking back in 20 some years of my career, like it was all me. And I think when people realize that if you can control your thoughts, if you can control your desires and your dreams, and it's okay to ask for help, it's okay to not know certain things, it's going to happen. It's meant to happen, and it will happen because there's no other way, and I think that's okay for so many different perspectives or so many different avenues in people's careers or choices.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank
Yeah.
you. I love that answer. I have a question that I always ask all my guests because this is called Celebrating the Arts after all. But what do the arts mean to you?
Wow. Like I said, it's my voice. I think it's a voice for so many, actually, whether like I look at arts from so many different perspectives, whether it's music, stage, theater, just being on the street, your friends, your family, like all of that is a form of art to me, because we're all so different. Things are so different. So for me personally, it's my own self-expression. It's my voice. It's a way that I can pass on my legacy. Um, and those are the things that I'm now, instilling into my own children, how important it is to look at the world as just one big art form. And that's how we're connected at the end of the day. So that would probably be my answer, is it's a voice for many that might not be able to verbalize it or have even add a sound to it, but it's something that we all perceive in so many different ways.
Now, Marina, what is next for you? What is in the works now that Miss Universe is over and we're still talking about it? But what's next? What's next for Marina?
A vacation. um,
And well deserved.
I'm not sure. For so many years, I think I've always had a plan and I've always had some sort of a calendar. And now I am going to take 2024 as it comes. And, there's many lessons I've learned in the past years of what kind of projects I would like to do, what kind of people I would like to be involved with. And now seeing all different aspects of what the industry can bring, I'm just going to choose wisely. So that's what's next for me, is to really see what fits for me, where I'm a great fit, and from there, hopefully produce more memorable, work to inspire others.
Well, you're certainly inspiring everybody in the universe for sure. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. This has been wonderful to be able to speak with you, to get a little bit of your take on the national costume. It really was something that will forever be unforgettable moment in Miss Universe, and I think for Salvadorans and everyone in the world. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Rebecca. Thank you. It was an honor. It's truly an honor.
Marina Toybina's creations are true works of art. Her drive, passion, and talent are inspiring a new generation of creatives. And that's why Marina Toybina deserves to be celebrated.